What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are finally back with F1 2017 career mode. It's been a long time. Apologies about the long wait. In a way, I have been waiting for the patch to come out, and finally it's made its way onto the PC, and finally we can see the update that is hopefully going to boost this McLaren towards the front where we want it to be. Now, as you can see here, this is just going to be a comparison just to show where the McLaren stands in the way of downforce and also the chassis, because those are the two, hotly contested areas with the midfield. You can see right there. In terms of the chassis, we're best of the rest of the top three teams. Aero, I think we're the third or second worst team. But as we go forward to Malaysia now, with the patch, in place now, you can see McLaren is exactly where it was before the patch came out. But we have had some changes to the chassis. We are now slower than Force India. They have now bumped their way up into fourth best chassis and fourth best car as well. They're very close to Red Bull in terms of performance. The gap to the midfield really has been closed there. But as you can see there, we are now faster than Williams and a little bit faster than Haas as well in terms of the aero. So in general, I'd have to say that the performance of this McLaren has taken a sidestep. We've lost a bit of chassis, but we've gained a bit of aero. And in general, the car, in terms of total performance, is a little bit more balanced across the three areas of performance. So we'll see how we go as we head into Sepang now. It should be an interesting track, because now with our increased downforce, we might be a little bit more competitive at faster racetracks like this one. So in a way, it was kind of good timing that we had the good chassis at the really slow speed circuits like Singapore and Italy, and now that we've come to a high speed circuit, we have now better downforce. So hopefully that can play into our favor. If anything, I feel like it's more worthwhile having a car that is better in terms of downforce. That is something we certainly lack versus the rest of the field, and that was really being exposed in the first two seasons of this career mode now. But here we are for qualifying for the Malaysian Grand Prix. The weather doesn't look like it's going to interfere with us too much. I think we had a little bit of rain in Friday practice, but apart from that, we should have a fairly dry weekend, which is something that's a bit of a rarity for this racetrack, but I'll take it. I kind of want to see what it's like, not only in qualifying, but as a race car as well, what the new updates have made to not only my car, but to the other AI cars, and just the way that they race in general, because I have seen in the patch notes as well for patch 1.9 for the PC that I'm running right now, that the cars have kind of been rebalanced in the way that they perform in qualifying and the race. I don't know if they're faster or slower in each of those sessions. That's something we'll have to get a gauge for as we progress towards the end of Season 2 here. But hopefully it's for the better and it's a bit more balanced, shall we say. But so far, we're doing okay. Currently in P13 as we go for another lap here in Sepang. Really bad exit into the third sector there. It said we're going purple as well, which is a little bit interesting. It said we were going purple on our first lap as well, but as we go across the line for the first time and the second time now, we end up in 8th place, nowhere near the front of the grid. So I feel like that might be a little bit of a glitch. The fact that it says we go purple, but we're definitely not the fastest car on the grid, is a little bit interesting. But as you can see there, Fernando is still 20th fastest in the speed traps. So I hazard a guess to say that his engine upgrades still aren't applying to his car, because I heard firsthand from the engineer, he said I was 11th in the speed traps. And, the fact that Alonso's 20th says to me that he's still not getting his engine upgrades, which is a little bit disappointing. I was really hoping that Alonso's performances would be boosted by the patch and he would actually get his upgrades, but I don't think that's the case as of yet. But here we go for qualifying 2. I used a lot of sets of tyres in Q1 just to get myself through that session, and so I only have the one set of green super soft tyres, so I saved that right for the end of this session, where hopefully we can make the most of track evolution, and also save my engine a little bit as well, because I've heard rumours that running in max or rich fuel mixture really eat up the engine performance now, or engine life. But as we go across the line again, we make it through to the next session. It is 8th place, and this lap in particular in Q2 was a lot better than what I managed in Q1, so a much more complete performance. And Q3 as well was pretty good. We found another 3/10. Just down to track evolution, I got the maximum out of the car, and it was 1.9 seconds away from the rest of the field. So as you can see there clearly, Force India are now better than us when it comes to on paper raw performance. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a fight back now for us to become best of the rest once again like we were before the patch. But as you can see there, we got some resource points, 1,500 of those. I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous episode, but I want to be putting that towards the department efficiency, just so that we can upgrade quicker and cheaper going forward into future episodes. And that's definitely going to make things a lot easier for us heading into Season 3, because, yeah, like I said, this is the way to go. If you want to outdevelop your rivals, you need to sacrifice performance now in the hope of getting gains later. But that's practice and qualifying, guys, for the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's time for the race now. Hopefully, we can continue to move forward.
Joining me to talk you through the action today is Anthony Davidson. And give us an idea of what kind of thing you're going to be looking out for today.
Well, the big question for me is whether or not we're going to see the cars able to follow each other closely enough to overtake, especially through the fast sections here. Of course, we've got DRS, and that will help on the straights, but it's still no good if you're coming off the previous corner too slowly or too far behind.
Great starting position for us. Let's see if we can improve on that in the race.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome, guys, on the grid to the Malaysian Grand Prix. Unfortunately, no Martin's grid walk. We're on our own here. I don't know why I brought that up. Why have I brought that up? I don't know. But here we are, 6th place. We found a couple of positions off the grid, off of, a few people getting some either engine or gearbox penalties, I believe. One of the Red Bulls got a penalty, and also Kimi Räikkönen. So watch out for those guys to come back through the field some way through this race, and hopefully we can fend off those guys with our added downforce. That should definitely make things a little bit easier for us going forward with development. But as you can see there, we're playing around the strategy, trying to make a one-stop, but unfortunately I couldn't remove the final super soft stint at the end there. And the Delta still, with that 2-stop that was kind of unoptimized, so we were 10 seconds down on the original Delta. So if you remove that pit stop, which would be about 20 seconds, I feel like that's a 10-ish second gain versus the other strategy we had on offer. It's confusing, I know, but I feel like the one-stop should be able to work around here. In league racing, it feels like the one-stop is the way to go, and we want to, put that into effect in career mode as well to get the best results we can. But here we go, ready for the start of this Malaysian Grand Prix. 5 red lights, and we are underway for this race here in Sepang. It's been an okay start. Esteban Ocon gets the best out of all of us there. We draw alongside Nico Hülkenberg, who got off to a fly. He might die off the inside of a couple cars. The guy on the inside always does that, and he finds his way into 4th place. We wheel touch with Esteban Ocon there in his newly upgraded Force India. But for the two of us, it's going to be side by side on the exit of turn 2. And this is going to be a really good comparison as well to see who is faster in a straight line versus the McLaren Honda, the Force India powered Mercedes, the Mercedes powered Force India, sorry, is no match for the Honda, especially under brakes. And yeah, again, even with the Force India being upgraded, they don't really pull away from us in a straight line, which is really nice to see. But lap 2, we've settled into the race quite nicely in front of Ocon, setting purple sectors on the second lap. Everyone does that. But you can see so far, we're not really losing touch with Hülkenberg. If anything, we're starting to gain on him now with rich revs and a bit of slipstream running into turn 1. We may go for a little look there. We hinted at a little look up the inside. Not quite close enough there. Maybe into turn 4, we're going purple again. Lap 3. And we take that in 4th gear. Really smooth corner, that one. And we almost ran into the back of Hülkenberg because he was going so slow. So as you can see, the downforce, even though it technically hasn't been upgraded by ourselves personally, it's been modified by Codemasters. It's a lot higher than what it was previously, and now we're making the most of it in the corners and actually loving life quite nicely. Through turn 1 now we go. Hülkenberg is still on the inside. He's a bit pinched there, but we leave him the space, and as we go through turn 2, we have the inside for that corner, and that is us up into position number 4. So it's been a great start. A few front runners down the order, of course, with their grid penalties, but we've continued to march forward as we always do, which is really encouraging, and we might even move up onto the podium if Ricciardo's pace on the soft compound tyres isn't that great. But as you can see here, this is a pass for the lead. Sebastian Vettel overtaking Valtteri Bottas round the outside. Very nice. That is very, very nice. I know I said the Red Bulls had a grid penalty today. It was in fact Lewis Hamilton, but I got it right with Kimi Räikkönen though. Props to me there for actually getting something right. But as you can see here, settling into the race, the gap is being actually closed down by Hülkenberg ever so slightly. My tyres are starting to go off a little bit, and that's probably because I haven't upgraded the tyre wear as of yet. But we're just doing our best to hold on, and Hamilton actually finds his way up into third place now as a few people make their stops. A lot of the guys behind me did so on the previous lap, and that's pretty much left me exposed to Lewis. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting lap or two now to see if we can keep the three-time world champion behind us. You can see doesn't really make huge gains on the straights. So again, the straight line speed of Honda is really, really good. But Lewis has had enough. He's diving into the pits to possibly fit on a set of soft compound tyres. The virtual safety car came out as well on the next lap. So hopefully this should reduce the effect that the guys behind us have with the undercut, because they're all running at the same pace as what I was. And so I thought, let's do another lap. I decided to pit at the end of lap 9, and we will fit the medium tyres to go to the end of the race. I knew I had to stretch these supers for everything that they were worth in order to make the one stop viable, but I feel like we've done that now. We actually stayed out longer than Daniel Ricciardo on soft compound tyres. So I don't know what's going on with Red Bull there, but they are obviously going for a two-stop as well if they can't take their soft compound tyres, not even 10 laps. But either way, we rejoin on the track right alongside Kimi Räikkönen, who has also made his first stop, and that is us dropping down into P10. So this next phase of the race now, it's going to be a little bit interesting. It's going to be important for us to stay in touch with Räikkönen, stay in touch with Hamilton, Ricciardo, all these guys, so that by the time they do make their final stop, that's a cheeky little rub there with Räikkönen trying to get up his inside, nothing quite working there. It's important for me to stay with these guys, because by the time they make their stops, you know, the kind of gap that we have to them after that is the lead that we're having to play with for the rest of the Grand Prix. We have a yellow flag though in the middle sector. This is one of the Mercedes. I believe it is Valtteri Bottas on the soft compound tyres, who was effectively fighting for the win today. He's got a front right puncture, and he is effectively out of the running for this race if he wants, you know, a podium or a top 5. So yeah, that's his day done and dusted. We have another yellow flag up ahead as well. I believe it is Sebastian Vettel, our race leader, has out of the race. I don't know if this has any link with Valtteri Bottas getting the puncture. Possibly they collided and the damage has resulted in Vettel's retirement. I'm not too sure, but it literally happened within the space of 10 seconds. Both of them having their problems, and Valtteri Bottas, as you can see there on the replay from just before, he's a lap down, and he's going to possibly run amok with the top end of the midfield here for the next 16 laps. So hopefully he can get in the mix with those guys, slow them up, get them frustrated, wear their tyres out, and that can bring me into the game ever so slightly. But so far, things are looking good.
Okay, clear.
Yellow flag going through that sector of the racetrack, and that is because we have Valtteri Bottas getting tangled up with another car, possibly through the penultimate corner. It's the Haas car, who was just completely spun out on the inside part of the track there. Didn't look like there was any involvement from Bottas there. He was going slowly in the previous corner. He gets up on the curb and just kind of does a Sergio Perez of that from 2012, except he ends up spinning on the inside part of the track there. Pretty weird mistake to make there, and very crucial as well, because he gave up about 5 spots. But either way, we carry on with the action now. Lap 14. Next up is Sergio Perez. He's putting on the pressure to Felipe Massa. Can we go for a little look up the inside? We probably could have. Sergio was going a little bit slow there, caught behind the Williams, and he actually gives himself a little bit of a serve up there. I was up his inside, and he kind of did a bit of a knee-jerk reaction there, gave me a bit of space, and now he's going slow through the middle sector. This Force India is supposed to be really quick, but right now he is not showing the true capabilities of this car right now. He's just completely, I don't know, cracking under pressure and holding us both up in the process. You can see how much ground Felipe Massa has made up in the process. We go on the inside, not quite going to make it stick there. I just didn't have the traction on the inside to make that work. So Sergio holds on. We'll see what we can do. Possibly heading into the final corner, maybe the penultimate if we get close enough through here. Oh, wow. He just completely parks it on the apex again. That Force India not looking very competitive. He might even have a problem. He's going that slow. It's a little bit dangerous for us now. We're really risking losing our front ring. So we chuck it up into rich revs, go to the outside, and we should be able to outbrake him pretty easy into the final corner, especially since Sergio is taking corners with a little bit more caution than what he normally would. That is us up in a P7. So yeah, there we go. 13 laps to go. The engineer is concerned about our race strategy. He wants to know... Oh, team radio.
The drivers we're racing are Ricciardo and Sainz.
Yeah, the engineer was you know, bringing up a suggestion to pit onto the soft compound tyres. He doesn't think our mediums are going to make it, but buddy, I know I'm the race driver. I'm not the professional strategist like you are, Jeff, but I think I know better on this occasion. But as you can see here, we're running down through the order. This is Fernando Alonso, 3 or 4 spots back behind us. We've got Daniel Ricciardo closing us in at a vast rate of knots now that he's pitted for his fresh soft compound tyres, and this is for a spot on the podium. So I'm going to be eagerly trying to hold on to this position if I can. If I don't, though, it's just going to mean that we fall down to P3, I think it is. But here we go. He's up the inside. I have to leave him the space there. I can't do a Sebastian Vettel to Mark Webber there, but we'll see what we can do heading into turn 1. If we can hold it through this first part of the corner, we should be able to hold on to the position because we have the inside for the next corner, and we do so. A bit of contact on the side pod there. That's still fine. No front wing damage conceded there, but it's going to be a bit of a drag race now on the run up to turn 4 to see if we can get him back under brakes. He goes defensive, and we follow him to the inside, up the inside. I know I said inside too many times. We got the move done, and that is us back into second place effectively in this Grand Prix. I honestly don't know how we're fighting for second. We've got a little bit lucky with the retirements today, but man, we are really making the most of this opportunity we've been presented with today. Through the final corner there, massive understeer. I try to go like slow and fast out and get the switch back. I just got a lot of understeer in the mid part of the corner, and that was pretty much game over for us there, and Ricciardo gets effective P2. In this Grand Prix, we have another yellow flag through the 3rd sector, and this is for Lewis Hamilton, our race leader again. Like there's some kind of curse for whoever leads this race. It is another puncture, the 2nd for Mercedes in the 1 Grand Prix, and now I feel absolutely devastated because that could have been us leading the Malaysian Grand Prix with just 6 laps to go. But we gave up the spot to Ricciardo in a way. And Lewis has actually spun at the final corner on the way into the pit lane. Wow, that's just going to add insult to injury. Here's a replay from the 3rd person. It's just a simple mistake from Lewis. Carried a little bit too much speed there. The tyres just don't have any grip, especially when you don't have a puncture. I mean, when you have a puncture, and he might actually have to do another lap because of the way that he spun and the way his car was positioned. It looked like he kind of went past the pit exit there, or pit entry. But meanwhile, we carry on to the live action, and we're clearly leaking a lot of pace now. This is Kimi Räikkönen putting us under pressure now for 2nd place once again. I don't want to make the same mistake that I did with Daniel Ricciardo. I don't want to kind of let him go in a sense. I want to fight this as hard as I can because who knows? Daniel Ricciardo himself could get a tyre puncture just like the 2 Mercedes cars did. So whatever track position I get, I want to make sure that I can absolutely hold on to it. But here goes Räikkönen up the inside into the final corner. Again, we find ourselves in a very similar scenario. I keep it much tighter to the apex this time, and we actually don't get too much understeer. But yeah, Räikkönen, even with that move, gets up into 2nd place. But we use the slipstream, rich revs, to see if we can go back up the inside into turn 1. We have a little look and a really late lunge, but the tyres are just having none of that, and that was the end of that battle and the end of the race effectively. It's going to be 3rd place for this Malaysian Grand Prix. I gave it everything, but in the end, the win wasn't there. 2nd place wasn't there either, but hey, I'll take another podium. 2nd in a row now in this career mode series. Yeah, there we go. Daniel Ricciardo takes the win as well. He would be very, very chuffed with that to buy his way back into a competitive spot in the championship. Back in the mix with his teammate, back in the mix with me. For us, though, it's another podium.
Can't complain about that one. That was an excellent drive.
So here come our winning drivers today, and what a race it was. There's been a big push at the factory lately to get these cars ready, and we can see the fruits of that labour today as Red Bull lift the winner's trophy.
So there we go, guys. That has been the Malaysian Grand Prix. In the end, we have 2 Australians on the podium. This is something I don't think I've seen in a very, very long time. You know, since the likes of like Mark Webber being around and me doing my early career modes on my channel. Yeah, you know, it's not very often you see 2 Australian flags up there, which is awesome to see. Hopefully at one point we can get an Australian one too. That'd be one for the ages, maybe even for the history books. I don't know if that's ever been done in F1, but there we go. Fernando Alonso has a point. He finally gets a point, and came at the most random time, at the most random track. You'd have to say that Malaysia doesn't really suit this circuit, but again, We've come away with a really good result, and finally Fernando gets some justice for his hard work that he's been putting in so far this season. McLaren, they haven't been giving him his upgrades. He's been mega pissed off in the background, but he only goes and earns himself at a point, and well, that's a big up yours to the team. Hopefully they can pull their fingers out and give him some upgrades from now on. But driver standings, we've actually moved up to 5th and overtaken Verstappen for the first time in this series, and yeah, that feels really good to be in front of both the Red Bulls. Did not anticipate that coming, especially after the patch coming out. I thought we were taking a sidestep, and if anything, I thought I was a little bit deflated. I was a little bit disappointed, but the result today is really just confirmed that we still have the pace. If anything, we might have found a little bit more versus than what we had previously with the last package we had, but that's fine. We've got some big upgrades potentially on the way in the future. We've just done the massive department efficiency upgrade, so heading into Season 3 we'll be able to upgrade the aero really quickly. But yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 videos. As you can see there, we've got a lot of used power unit components on the car now, and I think we're probably going to have to take a grid penalty right now. I just feel like if we run with our 6 power unit, that'll like literally leave us with nothing going forward. So I'll take the pain now. I'll also take a gearbox as well. So essentially we're taking a massive, I don't know, bath and taking all of our pain now. And hopefully for the rest of the series or the rest of this season, that can be everything. Hopefully that should be enough for our power unit components and gearbox to make it to the end. And we don't have to worry about any more grid penalties or anything like that. That's just the price we pay when we drive for McLaren Honda, and the reliability isn't that great. But we move on to the next race now in, I think it's Japan, and we get another sponsor bonus. I completely came out of the blue. I really like how they're coming thick and fast now. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time this season where we've got a massive bonus like that, and that really put me in a good mood. So before we end off this video, we're going to do another upgrade. This time, we're going to do for drag reduction in the aero. So, there we go. Another huge boost for us and the team. By getting 750 resource points, we can put another upgrade on the car. And, yeah, potentially in the next episode, we might have enough resource points to do another downforce upgrade. And that might be rear downforce. Actually, we might do rear downforce now. And if we have enough resource points in the next episode, then we'll do drag reduction as well. So yeah, like I said, with these department efficiency upgrades, if you can get them on the car, if you can take the pain early, you'll really start to feel the benefits come in the long term once you build up your resource points again. So honestly, I feel like we're going to be able to outdevelop the other teams in Season 3 for sure, and that's where I feel like our competitive streak and just that upward spiral in terms of performance there on the research and development chart is really going to come into fruition. So things are starting to build now. We've got to spend our resource points, effectively, especially with the bonus we get at the end of the season as well, and we'll take things from there. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for putting up with my rambling. I always take way too long to end these videos, so if you're still watching, thank you so much. And hopefully I can reward you with more regular career mode videos now until we win this damn thing. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.